بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربنا افتح بيننا وبين قومنا بالحق وأنت خير الفاتحين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to week 8, the final lesson of the Otago Quran Study Club's Tuhfatul-Atfal Gateway to Tajweed course. In this course so far, we've covered the introductory rules of Tajweed and how to recite the Quran in the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended it to be recited, the way that He has intended to reveal it. In this lesson, we're going to go over a recap of all the content that we've covered so far. So if you haven't watched any of the videos, this is a place that you can start from, where it's got a very quick glossing over of everything. And I'll also be explaining the process of the testing for the end of course test for this class, inshallah. And before we do get into that though, we first need to finish off our tuhfa. Every week I've been reading a section for you guys, um, and now we have finally come up to the final section. Excuse my voice, I'm still feeling a little bit sick, so my pronunciation will not be 100%, but inshallah you should be able to get the gist of it. I'll read it first in Arabic and then we'll go over the English translation. The Sheikh writes, and I quote, خاتمة. وتم ذا النظم بحمد الله على تمامه بلا تناهي أبياته ند بدا لذي النهى تاريخها بشرى لمن يتقنها ثم الصلاة والسلام أبدا على ختام الأنبياء أحمدا والآل والصحب وكل تابعي وكل قارئ وكل سامع. Alhamdulillah. Very straightforward conclusion. And this text was completed with the continuous praising of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his completion. Always, always, always bringing it back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is thanking Allah through and through that this work could not have been done without his help. Its verses are clear. He calls them incense. Incense is like the bukhur. If you've tried it, smelt it before, it's like the little thing that they light up on fire, and it brings out like a nice smelling smoke that fills the room. Right? So it's an incense for the one who has intellect, and its date of completion is glad tidings or good news for the person who has perfected it. What it means is basically anyone who's learnt this has gotten a real treasure. This thing is really sweet. It's really nice, really good to have. And its date of completion, meaning when you get your ijazah in the tuhfa, for those who do pursue that line, and you read it back to a sheikh and you explain it back to him, then he says that he is congratulating you. Congratulations on finishing it. Congratulations on memorizing this poem. We're not memorizing the poem in this class. We're just using it as our kind of guideline to learn the intros. But in the traditional system where you would memorize the poem and then read it back to your teacher and explain it to him, it's a really monumentous occasion when you do finish it off and you get to and yeah, you get your ijazah in it. And then all peace, all salutations and peace always upon the seal of the prophets Ahmad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why Ahmad? Why not Muhammad? Because it rhymes better when you say Ahmada. So it just works better. But both of those names are correct. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has many names, and of course we cannot uh, do anything if it was not for him. If he did not teach us the Quran, there would be no tajweed, there would be no nothing. So the reward goes to him, inshallah, as well. وَالْآلِ وَصَحْبِ وَكُلِّ تَابِعِ. And also salutations and peace be upon his household, the Ahlul Bayt, the companions, radiallahu anhum, and every follower, meaning every Muslim, every reader of the Quran, so all of you guys, and every listener of the Quran, also all of you guys. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send his peace and blessings and salutations upon the best of all creations, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and all those who follow in his footsteps. Allahumma ameen. All right, sweet. That's the conclusion. Now we need to go through our conclusion by going through the whole course. We're going to very quickly scroll through the stuff that we've covered. I was considering, do I give you guys a summary or do we just go through this original book? I think it's best if we go through the original book. What I'm going to do is I'm going to very, very quickly, like surefire, just rapid through everything that we've covered here. and then that will because it will kind of stimulate your memory. You've learnt it from here. It's easier if I remind you by showing you these same pictures here, these same pages, and that way, any notes that you've missed, you can always kind of fill them in, and it's just a quick refresher. So the first chapter that we went over was the rules of nun sakina and tanween. Nun sakina, that's a nun without any haraka. Tanween, it's two fathas, two dhammas, or two kasras, and un in, and it has four rules: idhar, idgham, iqlab, ikhfa. To make clear, to merge, to switch, or to hide. The letters of idhar are the six throat letters: hamza, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, and kha. And if nun sakin or tanween is followed by any of those letters, then the nun sakin or tanween will be made nice and clearly without ghunna. For example, you have min alfi, min alfi, in huwa, an'amta. You have the nun sakin or tanween followed by a throat letter. The second rule is idgham, meaning to merge. And the letters of idgham are yarmulun. Ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, nun. All right. And that means if the end of a word is a nun sakina or tanween, and the next word starts with any of those letters, then it's going to be merged into the next word. And this rule divides into two subcategories: idgham with ghunna and idgham without ghunna. Remember, as we said, ghunna, by the way, is a nasal vibration that emanates from the nose. Um, and you should be able to feel it through your nose. All right, the letters of idgham with ghunna, the merging with the ghunna, with that nasal vibration, are the letters of yanmu, yanmu, ya, nun, mim, waw. There's also other ways to say it. What was it? Yumin. Anyway, and this is idgham with the ghunna. So, for example, the words min wujudikum would become min wujudikum, min wujudikum. I merge the noon into the waw and I make a nice ghunna sound. All right. Um, then we have what's it called? For meme and noon, again, same thing. Sorry, for meme and noon, it's also a merge and with ghunna. Min masad becomes min masad. Right? يومئذ ناعمة becomes again يومئذ ناعمة. They merge into each other. This is idgham of mutamathilan. We'll go over that soon. The idgham of two of the same letter. Okay. By the way, just a note, this is for the rules of idgham only apply for two separate words. Two separate words. If you have it in the same word, which only occurs four times in the Quran, then you make it clear. We call it idhar mutlaq. You make the noon sound clear. Dunya, sinwan, bunyan, qinwan. Clear noon here. No idgham. And then you have idgham without ghunna, that's merging without ghunna. Effectively, this is for the lam and the ra. Effectively, you're just skipping it. You skip the tanween or you skip the noon, and you just go straight into the next lam or the ra. Yakun lahu becomes yakun lahu. You say, walam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad. Yakun lahu. You don't say yakun lahu. An rabbihi becomes an rabbihi. Again, we're completely skipping the noon, and we're going right into our ra. Sweet. And our third rule of nun sakin and tanween is iqlab, which means to switch or to convert or to change, and it's just the one ba. Ba is your only letter of iqlab. Nice and easy to remember. If nun sakin or tanween is followed by the ba, then that nun sakin or tanween will be switched into a meme sound instead. It will make a meme sound. So, for example, la yunbadanna becomes la yunbadanna. I've switched my noon into a meme. When you have it, for example, with tanween, yu'min billah becomes yu'min billah. I replace my noon with a meme. Nice and easy. And the last rule of nun sakin and tanween, the fourth one, is ikhfa. Ikhfa. And it is found, the letters of ikhfa, where ikhfa means to hide, the letters of ikhfa are found in the phrase طب ثم صل روح من تفوز ضيف لا نعم دع سوء ظن زر شريفا للكرم. Or it's just the any 15 letters that we haven't covered so far in the other other three rules. All right. And what we do is we hide it. We hide the nun sakin or tanween, and we go into the next letter. So, for example, and we keep the gunna. So we eliminate the tongue component of the noon, but we keep the gunna component of it. لن تغني becomes لن تغني. So I've made the gunna sound, but my tongue did not touch my upper gums. جنات تجري becomes جنات تجري. I've effectively got my tongue ready to go right into the next letter straight after the gunna. It's almost locked and loaded, ready to fire. But I'm not going to pronounce the noon. I'm just going to do the gunna. During that gunna time, I've set up my mouth in a way that I'm ready to go into the next letter. So the gunna that you're going to pronounce for all of the types of ikhfa are going to be different. Ainda has a different type of ikhfa than insan, right? Because they're two separate letters, two separate preceding letters. All right. Sweet as. Now the next one is the rules of meme sakin. Meme sakin. Meme sakin has three rules: إخفاء شفوي, إدغام شفوي, إظهار شفوي. Pretty much the same as the last ones. إخفاء شفوي meaning to hide, the labial hiding, and the letters of إخفاء شفوي are just ba. Really nice. إخفاء شفوي, that's when you have a meme sakin followed by a ba, then instead you hide the meme. Instead of pronouncing the meme all the way, what you do is you put your lips ever so slightly together. They're just resting on top of each other without pressing them together. They should not be emanating any kind of vibration from the lips. All right? And then going into the ba sound. So for example, ربهم بهم ربهم بهم. You don't keep a gap in between the lips. That is an opinion though. Some people do hold that opinion. And they would go ربهم بهم. And you don't press your lips all the way together to make ربهم بهم. You simply put them on top of each other without pressing hard. ربهم بهم. The second rule of meme sakin is idgham shafawi, and that is the labial merging. And the rules of idgham shafawi is just meme. The letters is just meme. This is again idgham mutamathilan, the idgham of two of the same letter. Bismillah. Meme sakin is followed by another meme, then the two memes get merged into one big meme. Meme with a shadda, and the shadda with a ghunna. For example, عليهم مؤصدة. I don't break the meme. I don't say عليهم مؤصدة. No, it's just one big long meme. And the last rule is إظهار شفوي, to make clear, pronounce the meme nice and clearly if it's second if it's preceded by any other letter. Meme is just naturally pronounced as is. هم. Nice and easy. All right, and you can recognize this as well because the meme second, if it's going to be pronounced clearly, it will have the little sukoon symbol on top of it. Same goes for the noon. If it's going to be pronounced clearly, it'll have a nice little sukoon symbol on top of it. Same with the lam sakina. Lam of al, sorry, it will also have that little symbol on it if it wants you to pronounce it nice and clearly. That's always helpful when you're reading from your classic mushaf. Sorry if I'm not going into too much detail. The purpose of today is just to kind of rush through, just kind of remind you of anything that you've missed. For more details, you will be able to go back and look at the recordings and listen in more detail about all of these topics. And we have a whole chapter dedicated to noon and meme mushaddada, the doubled noon and the doubled meme. The rule was just one line. It was just one single line chapter. وغن ميما ثم نونا شددا. Make a ghunna when you have a prolonged meme or noon. Ghunna, as we said, nasal vibration goes for two harakat. An. You vibrate your nose for two harakas. What's a haraka? Well, we'll get to that soon. All right. Wait. Lam shamsiya and lam qamariya. So lam of al is the article, the definite article in the Arabic language, comes before many different words. Split into two. It can either be qamariya, which is the clear one, you do idhar, or it can be shamsiya, which is the hidden one, where you hide it. The letters of lam qamariya are the 14 letters of ibghi hajjaka wa khafa aqimahu. And if the lam is followed by any of those letters, then we pronounce it nice and clear. For example, Al-Quran, Al-Insan, nice and clear lam sound. And again, you can see it has a little symbol on top of it, little sukoon, to help you recognize it. Lam Shamsiyya, that's the one that you merge it. Sorry, I mixed up. It's Idgham, it's a merging letter. And the letters of Lam Shamsiyya are طب ثم صل روح من تفز ضف ذا نعم دع سوء ظن زر شريفا للكرم. The first letter of each of these words. Cool. And this one, you literally just skip over the lam. Skip over the lam and go into the next letter, and the next letter will always be a letter with a shadda. For example, Lam Shamsiyya, النجم, السماوات, not السماوات, السماوات. And if you don't want to memorize 14 letters, you can easily recognize it by just looking over here. There's no sukoon on top of the lam, and the next letter has a shadda. So that's nice and easy to remember. All right, perfect. Now we did have a section actually on idgham. This was slightly different, and we made a new video recording on it. 4 attempts till I got to the final video recording. Subhanallah, tech was not on my side that day. But effectively, we have 3 groups of, or 3 types of idgham. You have mutamathilan, idgham of the same letters, mutajanisan, idgham of the homogeneous letters, and mutakariban, idgham of the close letters. Mutamathilan is defined by 2 identical letters, both have the same makhraj, the same sifa, then they just get merged into one big letter. Kulla, one big letter with a shadda. Mutajanisan, that's when you have 2 letters with the same makhraj, the same source, origin, but they have different sifat. They have different characteristics. So, for example, dha, dhal, and tha, they all are like a family of letters. They're both close to each other. What happens is you merge it into the next one. If that's second, idgham only occurs in second letters, by the way. Some people will tell you that there's idgham kabir and idgham mutlaq. Yeah, no, it's not. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, I believe idgham means to merge, and you can't merge a vowel letter with another vowel letter. That's just called pronouncing 2 letters next to each other. If you're merging letters in the mutajanisan that are homogeneous, then you're merging them into the next one because the first one is second, it gets merged into the second one. For example, over here, irkab ma'ana becomes irkam ma'ana. Ba and mim are in the same family because they come from the lips, both come from the same place, but they're different letters. The ba is second, it merges into the mim. And the last type is mutakariban, the idgham of 2 close letters, 2 letters which are close in either their makhraj or in their sifa. So they're not as close to each other as the mutajanisan, the homogeneous letters. So you have the letters of idgham in nun sakin and tanween. We covered that. That's your yarmalun. And we have the lam of al-shamsiyya. The طب ثم صل الرحمن تفوز ضفان يام دع سوء ظن زر شريف الكرام. Cover that again as well. Qaf and kaf as well, and lam and ra. So if one of them is sakin, then it merges into the next one. For example, الضحى, the lam shamsiyya, it's lam shamsiyya, it merges into the next letter, which is the dad. Effectively, it just gets cancelled out. We go الضحى instead of الضحى. Instead of saying وَكُلْ رَبِّي, you would say وَكُلْ رَبِّي. And this is according to the qira'ah of Hafs and Asim on the tariqah of Ash-Shatibiyya, the one that we follow. Sorry, and another one, by the way, there's an exception to this. In mutajanisan, in the, what's it called? In the homogeneous idgham, if you have a ta followed by a ta in the same word, only occurs 4 times, then it is an exception. You do not merge them together. Both actually do come out a little bit clearly. Instead of ahattu, it becomes ahattu. So it's not complete ta, it's not complete ta, it's a ta then into a ta, and you make them both nice and clear. Back to the other chapters. We are very, very close. Last thing, al-mad, the mad. All right? Mad is the prolongation. It's when you prolong a vowel sound, you make it very long. Letters of mad are alif, ya, and waw. You have 2 main families of mad. You have the natural mad, al-mad al-tabi'i, and you have the secondary mad, the mad al-far'i. Mad al-far'i, secondary mad, is divided further into 2 groups. The mad due to hamza and the med due to sukun. Med due to hamza is divided into three different groups: al-muttasil, the connected; al-munfasil, the disconnected; and al-badal, the switched letters. The med due to sukun, you have the lazim, the arad al-sukun, and the lean. And these again split into further categories. We'll get into that. Natural med, the med tabi'i, is two harakas. If you have a waw, ya, alif, not followed by a hamza or a second letter, okay, it's just a regular letter, it will be pronounced two harakas. U, E. What is a haraka? By definition, a haraka is the time it takes you to pronounce a vowel. For example, a fatha, a dhamma, a kasra, a, u, e, a, u, e. That's one haraka. Two of those put together will give you two harakas, your mad tabi'i. A, u, e. Right? It's just a doubling process. And if you have it in four, same thing. U, e. Four harakas. So it's always just going with that baseline and then multiplying it. If it's easy for you to learn it that way, to remember it that way, you can also use your fingers. You move your fingers one at a time to measure that length, of a haraka, and to measure, especially when you kind of get to six harakas, makes it easier. Mad al-tabi'i, and this is the one where I think most people actually get tripped up on, is you don't make it naturally as long as it should be. For example, a word like yakulu, people will pronounce it yakulu. So a word like annas, people pronounce it annas. That's not long enough. An alif should be distinguished from a fatha, and henceforth. The natural med has to be pronounced longer than the time of just one haraka. Bismillah. Secondary med, the med far'i. We'll talk about the med due to hamza. You have muttasil, the connected. That's when you have a letter of med followed by a hamza in the same word. We prolong it 4 or 5 harakat. This med is obligatory. You have to do it all the time. And they even help you by drawing a little wavy line over it. If you see this little wavy line on top of, like we say, an alif, a letter of med, in the same word, you've got the hamza in the same word, then you know you're going to do 4 or 5 harakat. Ja'a, with a wow. Bisu, 4 or 5 harakat. Which one is it? It doesn't really matter. You can do 4, you can do 5. They are very similar to each other in the way they sound at this level. When you get more advanced, it will matter. Second type of mad due to hamza is the mad al-munfasil, the disconnected mad. Same as above, but this is when you have in two separate words. So you have the letter of mad, and then the next word starts with a hamza. In this case, you can either do 2 harakas, the natural mad, or you could do 4 or 5. Your choice. But, you must decide from the very beginning of your session or your rak'ah or whatever unit of reading that you're doing, whether you're going to do the munfasil or you're not going to do the munfasil. So you're either going to do it 4 or 5, or you're just going to do it natural to harakat. So for example, you can either read ma anzala, or you could just read ma anzala, 2 harakat or 4 or 5 harakat. Your choice, but you need to keep it consistent. The next, where's badal? Oh, sorry. It's down here. Mad al-badal is effectively the natural mad. That's when you have the hamza before the letter of the mad, not after. Wa'ata, letter of mad is the alif, clearly here. Before it is the hamza, not after it. This mad is 2 harakas. It's the same as the natural. Then you have the mad due to sukun, mad arad al-sukun. When you take a breath when you're reading Quran, right, and you pause at the end of a word, when you're pausing, you're taking away the last line. You're taking away the last haraka. So therefore, it becomes a sakin letter. It becomes an unvoweled letter because you've taken away the vowel by pausing there. If you pause and the second to last letter is a letter of mad, alif waw noon, alif waw ya, then it's your choice whether you do 2, 4, or 6 harakas. Very long. Better to do 2, just do it natural. But if you should know, this word over here, if I'm going to pause This dhamma is gone. It's not al-qisasu, it becomes al-qisas. And my second to last letter is an alif, that's a letter of med. I can do 2, 4, or 6. Naturally, you would read al-qisas. Or you could say al-qisas. Or if you really want to go for it, al-qisas. Same as above, you do need to keep it consistent. So in one sitting or one rak'ah, you need to decide whether you're going to do it 2, 4, or 6. I would recommend that you do it 2 all the time. Um, then you have Madeleine, and it's better to just learn it that it should be natural. You have a waw or a ya, read it natural. 2 harakas. However, for the lean letters, very specific, that's a waw or a ya, preceded by a fatha. And then you can do 2, 4, or 6, same as above. Best to do it 2. Then you have mad al-lazim, the obligatory mad. It's called lazim because all the scholars agree on it. This is the one type of mad that all of the scholars agree on its length and its existence. All right. Your 2 types of mad lazim. Mad lazim kalimi, that's the mad lazim of words. And your mad lazim harfi, the mad lazim of letters. The huruf al-muqatta, the disconnected letters that come at the beginning of some of the surahs of the Quran. These are further divided into muthaqqal and mukhaffaf. However, it is easy just to learn them, to simplify it. It's easy to just learn them as kalimi and harfi. All right. Kalimi, that's when you have a letter of mad followed by a letter with shadda. So a letter of mad followed by a letter with a shadda. Over here, and in the last word of Surah Al-Fatiha, the letter of mad is alif followed by lam. Lam has a shadda on it. So therefore, I need to pronounce it with 6 harakat. This should be your longest harakat, your longest mad. Some people say 7, 6, 7, very similar things. Just 6. Just do 6. Make it easy on yourself. So this would be ولا الضالين. 6 harakat. All right, on that alif. And the other type of mad lazim kalimi is only found in one word. الآن. The lam actually does not have a shadda on it, but this becomes mad lazim kalimi because there's a hamza before it. You will only find this word twice in the Quran, only twice, and both of them are going to be in Surah Yunus. So you're gonna mind blown when you see it. You're gonna remember me, maybe. The second type of mad lazim is the mad lazim harfi, the mad lazim of the disconnected letters. And these are letters that come. There are 14 letters that come in the beginning of some of the surahs. For example, alif, lam, mim, yasin, taha, qaf, etc. And these letters, some of them apply mad lazim harfi. All right, and this will also be 6 harakat. Alif, lam. And you know whether you're going to do a mad on it if it has the wavy line. For example, the alif, it's just pronounced just alif. You don't say alif. No, that's silly. You just say alif. But the lam and the mim, they are stretched, but the ra is not. It's just ra. Instead of ra, it's just ra by itself. 6 harakas. The only exception to this one is the ayn. The ayn. And this is found in Surah Maryam and in Surah Ashura. Yes, in the beginning of them. You can either do it 4 or you can do it 6, but it's best that you do it 6. Ayn Sin Qaf. Right? That's quite a long one right there. That's 18 harakas, and then you add in the 2 harakas of the noon over here, and then the 2 harakas of the noon over here that are theoretical. They're not written. This becomes a 22 harakas, just like letters that you have to read. All right, that is our overall general recap of the whole thing. Now what we're going to do is, now that we have this knowledge, we'll read through the Tuhfa line by line and see how we can we see it like applied literally. What I will do is I will, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Let me just switch this up. Guys, a little blurb on Sulaiman al-Jamzuri. And what I'll do is what we call arda akhira. That is when you read the whole poem to someone as one big long thing. So I've gone over the explanation, so I'm not going to do the explanation again here. I'm just going to read it out. And I want you to follow along with the English translation and see how much you can pick up. Because this is all stuff that you should know. It's just really, really, really super condensed. Then we'll open up to questions. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The Sheikh writes, and I quote, uh, المقدمة. يقول راجي رحمة الغفور دوما سليمان هو الجمزوري الحمد لله مصليا على محمد وآله ومن تلا وبعد هذا النظم للمريد في النون والتنوين والمدود سميته بتحفة الأطفال عن شيخنا المهير الكمال أرجو به أن ينفع الطلاب والأجر والقبول والثواب أحكام النون الساكنة والتنوين للنون إن تسكن وللتنوين أربع أحكام فخذ تبيين فالأول الإظهار قبل الحروف للحلق ست رتبت فلتعرفي همز فهاء ثم عين حاء مهملتان ثم غين خاء والثاني إضغام بستة أتت في يرملون عندهم قد ثبتت لكنها قسمان قسم يدغما فيه بغنة لينمو علما إلا إذا كان بكلمة فلا تدغم كدنيا ثم صنوان تلا والثاني إدغام بغير غنة في اللام والراء ثم كررنه والثالث الإقلاب عند الباء ميما بغنة مع الإخفاء والرابع الإخفاء عند الفاضل من الحروف واجب للفاضل في خمسة من بعد عشر رمزها في كلم هذا البيت قد ضمنتها صف ذا ثنا كم جاد شخصا قد سما دم طيبا زد في توقا ضع ظالما أحكام النون والميم المشددتين وغن ميما ثم نونا شددا وسمي كلا حرف غنة بدا أحكام الميم الساكنة والميم إن تسكن تجي قبل الهجاء لا ألف اللينة لذي الحجاء أحكامها ثلاثة لمن ضبط إخفاء نضغام وإظهار فقط فالأول الإخفاء عند الباء وسميه الشفوي للقراء والثاني إضغام بمثلها أتى وسم إضغاما صغيرا يا فتى والثالث الإظهار في البقية من أحرف وسمها شفوية واحذر لدى واو وفاء تختفي لقربها والاتحاد فاعرفي حكم لام ال ولام الفعل للام الحالان قبل الأحرف أولاهما إظهارها فلتعرفي قبل 4 مع 10 خذ علمه من إبغ حجك وخف عقيمه ثانيهما إضغامها في 4 و10 أيضا ورمزها فعي طب ثم صل رحما تفز ضف ذا نعم دع سوء ظن زر شريفا للكرم واللام الأولى سمها قمرية واللام الأخرى سميها شمسية وأظهرن لام فعل مطلقا في نحو كل نعم وكلن والتقى في المثلين والمتقاربين والمتجانسين إن في الصفات والمخارج اتفق حرفان فالمثلان فيهما أحق وإن يكونا مخرجا تقاربا وفي الصفات اختلفا يلقبا متقاربين أو يكون اتفقا في مخرج دون الصفات حققا بالمتجانسين ثم إن سكن أول كل فالصغير سميا أو حرك الحرفان في كل فكل كل كبير وافهمنه بالمثل أقسام المد والمد أصلي وفرعي له وسم أولا طبيعيا وهو ما لا توقف له على سبب ولا بدونه الحروف تجتلب بل أي حرف غير همز أو سكون جاء بعد مد فالطبيعي يكون والآخر الفرعي موقوف على سبب كهمز أو سكون مسجلا حروفه ثلاثة فعيها من لفظ واي وهي في نوحيها والكسر قبل الياء وقبل الواو يضم شرط وفتح قبل ألف يلتزم واللين منها الياء وواو سكنا إن انفتاح قبل كل أعلنا أحكام المد للمد أحكام ثلاثة تدوم وهي الجواب والجواز واللزوم فواجب إن جاء همز بعد مد في كلمة وذا بمتصل يعد وجائز مد وقصر إن فصل كل بكلمة وهذا المنفصل ومثل ذا إن عرض السكون وقفا كتعلمون نستعين أو قدم الهمز على المد وذا بدل كآمنوا وإيمانا خذا ولازم إن السكون أصلا وصلا ووقفا بعد مد طولا أقسام المد اللازم أقسام لازم لديهم أربعة وتلك كلمي وحرفي معه كلاهما مخفف مثقل فهذه أربعة تفصل فإن بكلمة سكون اجتمع مع حرف مد فهو كلمي وقع أو في ثلاثي الحروف وجدا والمد وسطه فحرفي بدا كلاهما مثقل إن أدغما مخفف كل إذا لم يدغما واللازم الحرفي أول السور وجوده وفي ثمان حصر يجمعها حروف كم عسل نقص وعين ذو وجهين والطول أخص وما سوى الحرف الثلاثي لا ألف فمده مدا طبيعيا ألف وذاك أيضا في فواتح السور في لفظ حي طاهر قد انحصر ويجمع الفواتح الأربع عشر صله صحيرا من قطعك فاشتهر خاتمة وتم ذا النظم بحمد الله على تمامه بلا تناهي أبياته ند بدا لذي النهى تاريخها بشرى لمن يتقنها ثم الصلاة والسلام أبدا على ختام الأنبياء أحمدا والآل والصحب وكل تابعي وكل قارئ وكل سامع جزا الله عنا شيخ بارك الله فيه. That is the end of the manzuma, the end of this composition. So as you saw in the last 10 minutes, I have summarized 7 hours of teaching. And if I read it faster, I could have done it in 5 minutes. I just wanted to recite it the way it was beautifully composed, to give it some respect. That is the essence of Tajweed. It's simple, but it can be expanded on and expounded on. It is easy to learn, but it needs detail. You need to go into the detail. You need to learn this ocean really until it becomes second nature, just like driving. The person who's learning to drive, they first have to memorize the whole theory book or whatever it is, and they have to learn it through and through the whole road code, and then sit the test, the theory test, and then sit the restricted test, and then sit the full license test, all of that. Eventually, driving becomes second nature. They just drive without thinking about it. They don't think about their indication. They don't think about, doing this and that, keeping their hand over here, doing this motion. It just becomes second nature. They just do it. But it takes that first step of understanding everything thoroughly, through and through, without missing anything, before it can become that second nature. And so part of this was to kind of just get your foot in the door, get you understanding some of the rules of Tajweed, and potentially you will go out and you'll go and do more, go and learn more. Some of you have signed up to the Qari Future program. MashaAllah, very proud of you guys who have. Some of you may have signed up to other Tajweed programs or found a Tajweed teacher. Really good on you, MashaAllah. It's always good to keep learning, always good to keep increasing your knowledge. You will never finish. You will never finish. I have a Tajweed teacher. I'm still learning Tajweed. It's a lifelong journey, but you do need to go through the semantics. You need to go thoroughly through before it becomes that kind of second nature that you can just naturally do without anything. All right, that's a lot of me talking at you. Quickly, I just need to cover what is the test, what's going on. So the test to end off this course to pass people, because we have a lot of people who signed up to the course, but not everyone has been as engaged or has applied themselves as much as others, and we want to recognize those who've tried hard and learned something. So the test is two parts. The first part is just a short multi-choice quiz kind of thing. We will be sending those out via the next email link, and you just fill that out and you get a score. Nice and easy. The second half is going to be a practical. What we're going to do is we're going to set up times throughout the week, time slots throughout the week, kind of like the drop-in sessions, and this session as well, so including this Thursday evening time, where you're going to come into the waiting room, wait for your turn, and then when it's your turn, you'll come in, and I'm going to ask you to read Surah Al-Fatiha. Surah Al-Fatiha, nice and easy. And I will give it to you on screen, so you don't have to do it from memory. And then I will ask you a few questions about Tajweed rules. So an exemplar question, for example, could be, what is the define the lam of al in the words in the ayah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim? And the answer would be, these are both lam shamsiyah. I do idgham for them. I merge them because they're followed by letters of idgham. So the lam is not pronounced clearly. Rather, we go straight into the next letter. So that's an example. I could ask you, for example, what are the two types of med in the word وَلَضَّالِّينَ? The first one, that is med lazim, or med lazim kalimi, to be specific. That is 6 harakat. That's a letter of med followed by a letter with a shadda in the same word. Therefore, it is 6 harakas. And the second type of med is the ya. This is ya, which is عارض للسكون. It's exposed to a sukun. Therefore, it is either 2, 4, or 6 harakas. It is best to do it 2 harakas. So those are exemplar questions, examples of what you could be asked. What I would recommend is we're going to be sending out, Bismillah, we're going to be sending out the whole YouTube list of all the videos that we've covered so far, the videos of all the lessons so far, so you can go through them, listen through them, or if you've done the work throughout the course and just written down your own notes, then you should be sweet to go. You've got your notes ready, you can go from it. These quizzes are closed book, but I do trust you that you're not going to cheat. The Prophet ﷺ says, he who cheats us is not of us. Okay, I'm not going to enforce any kind of tracking or any kind of anti-cheating, whatever. I trust you that you are all good Muslims, inshallah. If you're dedicated to come to a Tajweed course for 8 weeks, I can trust that you're probably not going to cheat, inshallah. So that will be easy to do and free to do. Does anyone have any questions about anything?
I don't have a question if no one else does, but I do have, I guess, a message from everyone's favorite Sheikh Ibrahim Al-Matari, the person who I guess manages a lot of the OQSC courses. Basically, his message is for those of you who are interested in continuing to improve your recitation after this course is ended. That is to say, you're not doing the Qari Future program necessarily, or you're not, but you want to continue to improve. He wants basically the names of everyone who is interested in attending a weekly halaqah. So just weekly Quran recitation, think like the drop-in sessions, to improve and practice your Quran recitation. So for anyone who is interested in that, please just flick me a message on WhatsApp. I think everyone here should be on the Wellington Brothers Tuhfatul-Atfal OQSC 2025 group chat. So flick me a message if you're keen to be a part of the halaqah that he's going to organize, inshallah. That's Mazen Khalef is the person, in case you don't know who I am.
Jazakallah khairan. Mazen, are you all right if we add your number to the email that we'll be sending out?
Sure thing.
All right, sweet. And that will be nice and easy to access. Jazakallah khairan. Thank you for that notice. Does anyone have a question? Like literally, have you? If you don't have a question, it means you have memorized every single rule that we have gone through cover to cover, and you just know it. I'm very surprised.
Ustad, I do have a quick question.
Yes.
I'm not sure whether we covered the Qalqala section.
No, don't worry. The Qalqala is not covered in the Tuhfa because it's a bit more of it's a long topic. So don't worry about that.
Is it really a long topic?
If you go into the Patandics, yes.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. But it is covered in the next course, the Qari Future course. Don't worry. Anyone else?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I just have a question about the test. How much detail do we have to know for the questions, like mad lazim or mad lazim kalimi or mad lazim kalimi mukhaffaf?
Right. Not too much. I'm not going to be too. The more you know, the better, and the more points I'll give you. The quiz that's like the multi-choice one. The multi-choice one, that's fine. You just click the right. It's either the right answer or the wrong answer. But for the one that I'm going to be verbally questioning you, that one should be. I'm not going to be too strong about the pedantics, about the terminology. But what's more important to me is that you pronounce it right. So if you know how to pronounce the thing right, that's more important. Also, by the way, quick thing, I'm not going to be testing you on the way that you pronounce letters. Yes, for some of you, I've explained the way to pronounce a certain letter. For example, ayn in the drop-in sessions. For some people, like if you struggle with ayn, I teach you how to pronounce the ayn. You're not going to be tested on that. Don't worry. It's good to improve your makharij, good to improve your sources of letters, but because I haven't taught it, it would be really unfair for me to be like, you mispronounced this letter, -1 point. That's very unfair. Got into a bit of slack with that. Any other questions? Jazakallah khairan. We'll end it here then, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you so much for your time, everyone who has dedicated from this course, whether those who are in Wellington or beyond, all across the country. Jazakumullah khairan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept this effort from you to stay dedicated and to stay connected and close to the Quran. A huge, huge, huge thank you goes out to one of my favorite people, Dr. Asrar Ilahi. Dr. Asrar is literally the minds and the brains behind this. He is the cogs, the gears that keep this running. These classes could not have been possible without Dr. Asrar. Dr. Asrar is not a Quran teacher. He's actually our admin guy. All the emails that you've been getting, all the support requests that you've been getting, anyone who's asked a question and gotten a response, that has all been through Asrar. He set up these Zoom links. He's been the one that's been setting up the YouTube videos. He's the one that's been he's been answering questions from me at random times. Randomly, I had to have a call with him while he's at the checkout of the grocery store like an hour ago. Barakallahu fi, he's always available. He's always putting so much of his time. He's sacrificing so much to keep this going. And this really could not have been possible without him. So Jazahullah khairan, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept it from him, reward him immensely, and reward his family, and empower him to keep doing all the good work that he does. Also, a
Ameen.
big thank you, and also a big thank you to Ustad Ibrahim, who did some of the drop-in sessions for this course. He is also the National Academic Coordinator of the Otago Quran Study Club. He has been kind of the passionate voice that's been wanting this to happen. And as you guys can tell, he clearly wants more to happen. So barakallah fi, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him immensely and give him a long life and good health so that he can continue to help us and to help the organization grow and the teaching of Quran in New Zealand to grow bigger and bigger. A big thank you to my parents, who without them I would be nothing, who taught me the Quran from the youngest of ages, and who have kept through with me, who have encouraged me to learn the Quran over and over again up until like today. Every single day of my life, every single, I will never be too old for the Quran, and they will never be too old to remind me of keeping my relationship with the Quran good. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them and reward them immensely for all the work that they have done to get me to where I am today. A big thank you to my sheikh and his sheikh and his sheikh, all the way back to the first Quran teacher, Jibreel alayhi salam, who without them the Quran would not be preserved the way it has been preserved today. And the knowledge of how to recite it the way it deserves to be recited, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended it to be recited, would not have been possible without them to this day. And may all the best peace and blessings and salutations be upon my most beloved, the one I love more than anyone else, despite never having met him, our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who got to us the Quran and read to us the Quran and taught us the Quran and embodied the Quran. He lived it in every practical facet of his life. He was a walking Quran upon the earth. Every single one of his mannerisms and his actions were the Quran. I aspire to be like him. I aspire to walk in his footsteps. And he is my greatest role model. Sallallahu alayhi ya habibi ya Rasulallah. If I have made any mistakes in the course of these classes, they are from me and from the shaitan. And any good that has come out of these classes, then they are from the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. There is bound to be mistakes. I have looked at some of the recordings. There have been slight mistakes actually in the past. That is natural and that is fine. But inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive me for those. Please double check your sources with anything that you're learning. Not having one teacher is not reliable. Make sure you have multiple teachers, because your teacher is going to be human and they will have shortcomings. Having multiple teachers will then block any of those holes of those shortcomings, because they cross-credit each other, and you can learn from fresh and new perspectives. Learn from multiple angles, the same thing. I have not gotten a single cent out of this. I don't make any money. This has all been for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I hope that my intention has been clear and that I get rewarded for this. This will be Sadaqah Jariyah, inshallah. It will last on the internet, on YouTube, for as long as Allah wills, probably after I die, and inshallah I hope that people can benefit from it. Feel free to share these videos, to keep them, to go back to them as a reference point. They are yours to keep. We'll be sending out the link, and to learn. Always continue in your journey of the Quran. I will end with a parting quote from our Sheikh. It was narrated to me from my Sheikh, Ibrahim ibn Shihta, from his Sheikh, Misbah ibn Ibrahim, and so forth, that our Sheikh, Al-Imam Al-Shatibi Al-Andalusi, the founder of the Tariqa Al-Shatibiyya, from the Qira'ah of Hafs and Asim, which is the most famous way of reciting the Quran, the one that you hear everywhere. He writes in medieval Spain, وَإِنَّ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ أَوْفَقُ شَافِعٍ وَأَغْنَى غِنَاءً وَاهِبًا مُتَفَضِّلًا وخير جليس لا يمل حديثه وترداده يزداد فيه تجملا. Indeed, the book of Allah is the most reliable of all intercessors on the day of Qiyamah, and is the richest of all riches. It provides and it blesses. It is a blessing. And it is the greatest companion, whose speech is never boring, and its repetition increases its beauty over and over again. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نستغفرك ونتوب إليك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت. جزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.